What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time, we're taking a look at The Mask of Zorro, directed by Martin Campbell. Now, The Mask of Zorro stars Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And I remember watching this movie many, many times when I was 8 years old when it first came out. I really liked it then, and I really like it now. I think The Mask of Zorro is a great throwback, swashbuckling adventure type of movie. But at the same time, you can also make a case that The Mask of Zorro is a proto superhero movie. Zorro as a character is the basis of pretty much the Batman character itself, and The Mask of Zorro pretty much acts just like that. Zorro has a distinct look, he has a distinct character, he has a hideout kind of like the Batcave. He's rich, he's a nobleman who happens to be rich. So the Zorro character and the Batman character have good parallels with one another. They're almost like mirror images. So, in that sense, I consider The Mask of Zorro to be a superhero movie. Now, with that out of the way, how is The Mask of Zorro itself as a movie to its own? Fantastic. I think that this is a fantastic movie. I think this movie is great. From a production standpoint, I think Martin Campbell did an outstanding job directing this movie. This is a visually striking and beautiful movie. Martin Campbell captures that 1800s feel of California with this film. From a production standpoint, this movie looks fabulous. He did a great job at recreating those 1800s period piece aesthetics, like the buildings, wardrobe, and costumes, the way that people talk and interact with one another. It makes you feel like you're watching something that was made in the 1800s. Everything looks authentic, and it's great. I love period piece movies, especially period piece movies that are done to perfection, like The Mask of Zorro. So, from a directing standpoint, cinematography standpoint, this movie, like I said, is visually striking. It's beautiful. It's really well made. The production value in this movie is outstanding. Captures that 1800s feel to a T. From a plot standpoint, this movie is, like I said, it's an adventure swashbuckling type of movie. Pretty much Zorro has to take on the villain known as Don Rafael, because in the prologue of this movie, the Zorro of the piece, played by Anthony Hopkins, is betrayed by Don Rafael. Not only is he betrayed by Don Rafael, his wife dies in his arms, and Rafael takes Don De La Vega's daughter and pretty much raises her as his own, while burning Rafael's house to the ground. And as vengeance, De La Vega takes on Alejandro to be his successor as Zorro, in a way, because Alejandro has his own story going around. In said prologue, Alejandro and his brother Joaquin were children when they first saw Zorro in the plaza attack Don Rafael. So now, 20 years later, we see them older, and they're pretty much bandits in a way. And I actually like the little trio this movie had with Three Finger Jack, Alejandro, and Joaquin. I think the three of them were fantastic. Antonio Banderas in this movie, he is just fantastic in this movie in general. When Antonio Banderas needs to be funny, he's really, really funny. But when he needs to get serious, he aces it. Banderas does a really good job at mixing his comedic timing and his dramatics really, really well, to the point where it's character progression, and it works. We see him as this bumbling buffoon, and then as the movie progresses, his character changes. His whole perspective changes, especially once he gets under the tutelage of De La Vega himself. And the chemistry between Hopkins and Banderas is great. The whole student-mentor dynamic between these two works perfectly. And there's also a little bit of a father figure there's also a little bit of a father figure going on between De La Vega and Alejandro. It's great stuff. The rivalry that Alejandro has with Captain Love, who's the man who murdered his friend Three Finger Jack and murdered his brother. The rivalry is a basic revenge plot. It's not as deep as the rivalry between De La Vega and Rafael, which I'm going to get to momentarily, but it's a basic plot between Captain Love and Alejandro. It's just basic alpha revenge type deal. But the real revenge plot is De La Vega and Rafael, and particularly the character of Rafael, who is played expertly by Stuart Allen. I think Rafael is how you do a tragic villain or just a sympathetic villain the right way. Raphael is this manipulative, cunning human being, but he also has a lot of layers to him. Even though he kidnapped his mortal enemy's daughter, he raises her as his own and has genuine love for his daughter. To the point in the climax where he attempts to use her as bait, but even he cons Della Vega by saying, "Listen, I'll never harm my own kid." No, there's a lot of complexity to the Raphael character. Even when he in the prologue where Della Vega's wife dies, the moment she dies, Della Vega kills the man who killed Della Vega's wife because Raphael loved Esperanza, Della Vega's wife, so he would never have any harm come to her. And like I said, the Raphael character, there's a lot of layers to his character, and Stuart Allen just puts on. I'm sorry, not Stuart Allen. What's the actor's name? I said it wrong. Stuart Wilson. I'm sorry. Stuart Wilson's performance throughout this entire movie is great. Great balance of sympatheticness and just pure, you hate this guy all at the same time. Great acting by Stuart Wilson, and also his chemistry with Anthony Hopkins in this movie is great too. The rivalry between these two, great stuff. I love it. And as I mentioned earlier, this movie has really well integrated comedy. This movie does not try to be funny. It has humorous moments, like when Alejandro is masquerading as Zorro for the first time. It's played up for laughs because he's doing it to be a showman and a showboat. He's not taking it seriously. But when we see him as Zorro, fully as Zorro, he's taking it seriously, and he's not a bumbling goof. His skills are refined, and he's doing what needs to be done. And also, there's also some good comedy there too, like when he's tricking the guards, and the little entertaining sword fight he has with Elena in the barn. It's funny stuff too. So again, the comedy in this movie is really well integrated. And speaking of the character of Elena, played by Captain Zeta-Jones, I like the character of Elena in this movie. I think the romance between her and Alejandro is handled really, really well. I think Jones and Menderes have a really good chemistry in this movie, and I like how she has these dueling father figures in her life as well. Not knowing that Della Vega is her real father, but also knowing that she's nothing like the man who was raising her as his daughter. You see that her personality is more akin to Della Vega as opposed to Raphael, and I like all that stuff. It works great, and when she finds out the truth, that's great as well, because she instantly turns against Raphael. But you can also tell that she does have some love for Raphael, because this is the man who she grew up for her entire life calling dad. So she's a good character, and I like it a lot. It's really well integrated. But her best scene is probably with Alejandro when they're having their little dance during a banquet. That's a great scene, and that's where the chemistry and the romance between these two really starts to blossom, and it really starts to get good. And it's a great payoff at the end where Della Vega unites the two because he's grown to love Alejandro as a son, but he's also been reunited with his daughter again. It's a great scene. It's a really great scene and a perfect end to what I consider to be a 10 out of 10 movie. I love The Mask of Zorro. I think this movie is great. It's got a great visual look. It's got great aesthetics. It has that adventurous spirit to it. It does have moments of somberness and darkness to it, but it has a good sense of humor. And it's just a fun movie all the way around from start to finish. And it has a beautiful, heroic score by James Horner that really just captures the imagination and the adventurous spirit that Martin Campbell and his team perfectly brought to life with this thing. So yeah, there's obviously a whole lot more to talk about with The Mask of Zorro, but I'm just going to stop it there. This movie is a 10 out of 10. I think this movie is great. The action sequences are fantastic. The sword fights are all well done. The characters, to me, are really rich and well developed for the most part, despite maybe the Captain Love thing falling really, really flat and just being generic maybe. But it still works. But it still works, and I still like it a lot. And it doesn't take away from the movie. It enhances the movie, because even though it's a basic revenge plot, there's still a lot of good things that happen. And there's this great intense scene between Captain Love and Alejandro, where Alejandro is pretty much being taunted by Captain Love when Captain Love shows him the severed head of his brother and the severed hand of Three Finger Jack. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for The Mask of Zorro. I love this movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.